When I got suspended, I would stay home and drink.
I hated my life.
I grabbed a couple of belts and hung them on a door and strapped them together and tried to hang myself.
There's people behind me, there's people in front of me, there's people beside me, and when you go to talk, they all look at you. It's really creepy.
Yeah, I got suspended for throwing scissors across the room. It's kind of bad. I didn't throw them at someone, though.
Bipolar f***ing issues up the ass. Girl. Yeah, right, chill out.
Growing up, watching my dad, like, hit my mom. And I think that's where I got my anger from.
You can come work it out with me. Russ, that's a no, right?
Students who might be labeled the bad kid are simply students who we haven't found a way to reach them. We don't know what it is in that kid's past that's making them necessarily behave that way.
I will allow you to come back tomorrow. And I'm not going to overlook this because we're going to have a little chat about this, but we're going to have a little chat about this when you're sober.
Walking into Somersworth High School, I knew that I was walking in my first year into a school that had one of the highest dropout rates in the state.
My freshman year, some of my friends were coming to school trashed. I was like, wow, I don't get how they could. And I don't get how teachers could not tell that they were drunk. Like puking in class.
Freshman year I came here, no one really helped me. They didn't really know my situation. Kind of didn't really care.
So you could literally come in the door for 3 years, flunk every class, and no one would really say much to you.
A girl in the grade younger than me was being told that because she was a nigger, she was going to be killed, her family was going to be killed.
So it wasn't that I didn't like school. It was I didn't like the atmosphere of the school.
I was always suspended. Always suspended. Detentions all the time. I lived in detention.
Don't f***ing touch it!
I would do anything for attention. That's what I wanted.
It's not mine. How many times do I have to tell you not to f***ing touch it?
I wanted to get in trouble. As unrealistic as that may sound, I wanted to get in trouble.
Obviously, the way we're doing business for addressing behavior is not working. So how can we change that?
This is a concentration and an ensemble.
Teachers would always say, if they would only behave, I could teach them more. And when positive behavior supports was introduced to us, it kind of just seemed like the correct fit.
Gosh, hopefully I can come up with it.
Positive behavior intervention systems. Public behavior intervention something.
I've never heard of PBIS.
Public behavior intervention system.
Positive behavior intervention in school? What does S stand for?
It's always the S that, I don't know. Supports, yes. That's always, the S always gets it. The thing that I like about the PBIS structure is that you're not just going on feelings and what we think people feel like and what we think the students feel like and what the teachers want. Everything's data-driven.
If I had to explain PBIS in one sentence, I would say it's a way of looking at kids in a positive way every day.
It's that notion of focusing on what kids should do instead. When you talk about behavior, it's all about don't do this. Talk about academics, it's all about do this. That shift in thinking from I'm going to nail you if you break the rule versus I need to teach you and then recognize when you do that behavior is fundamental. That, in essence, in my mind, is really the process that we call school-wide PBS or PBIS.
We're just all learning. And today's learning curve might have been a little steeper than you would have preferred.
You don't have to rule with an iron fist, and I think the teachers are realizing that
Vanilla, s'il vous plaît.
Oh, merci, monsieur.
The relationship between students and teachers is a lot more open. It's gotten over the years, and students aren't afraid of teachers as much.
You're welcome.
I have chocolate, please.
Yes, you may. Nice job on the calf.
Kids, if you stop them in the hallway, they would know the behavior expectations.
Consistency, understanding one another, and teamwork are the three essential things to the PBIS system.
It's an approach for organizing best practices. And then somebody says, well, what's that organization look like? We say that it's really a continuum of interventions. What do we have in place for all kids? What do we do with the kids who need a little extra? And what do we do with the kids who need something much more intensive? It's about teaching kids specifically social skills that allow them to be successful as they move through their school day, as they move through their community, as they move through their experiences at home.
And then do you have the secondary bronchi?
Yeah, right here.
Good. That's a really good view of those too.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of agreement nationally that we need reform of education, that we need to change the social dynamic in schools, but a lot of people don't even know where to start. And I think PBIS gives you the framework, the tools, and the system to make that reform happen.
We just kind of wanted to introduce one of our latest projects that is trying to build connections among teachers and students.
We created a chain reaction club, which is a student leadership voice. And one of the things that they did in the chain reaction club was really look at data and say, you know, kids do better in school if they're simply connected and known by a staff person. So they did an activity at a faculty meeting where they took the rosters of students and put them in the teacher's room and asked teachers to put a star if they had a positive connection with that student, hoping that we'd see lots of stars.
This poor freshman needs no checks.
And in many situations we did, but they also saw students that only had 1 or 2 stars. The students went back to the faculty and presented that data and said, these are the students that you need to get to know.
I think it's really important that we think of those students who, some of the names from our data that we collected, who don't have these connections, and maybe how that's impacting their school environment and, you know, their life outside of school even, how it's really bringing them down.
Because you've been doing a good job since you came here.
5'11".
It's been noticed. I think you've adjusted pretty well. What do you think?
Part of creating a positive climate in our school has also been our positive reinforcements.
You know, ice cream is that way, chocolates are around the corner.
Okay. Having ice cream socials when the kids have improved their kneecap scores.
I am the Sprinkle King.
Or they have improved respect, or they've cleaned the cafeteria and maintained that for a month.
Today is our way of saying thank you for being you. Enjoy your ice cream. We also have some other events that are happening once you're done your little treat.
Okay, can I have some ice cream, please? Yes, we have one flavor. It's vanilla. I like it vanilla. Well, you should have done better on the kneecap test.
Along also with improving the school climate is what we've done with family engagement. We really had to look at that piece and recognize that we want our families and parents in the community more involved in our school. Another, I think, unique thing about Somersworth is a lunchtime group called S Cubed, which is our social skills group, that peers just help each other come together and tackle various challenges that peers are facing.
What helps motivate you?
Not getting sent to the office.
Okay. Have you guys ever gotten teachers' attention in a negative way before?
Yes.
Okay. Do you mind talking about that and maybe what changed for you?
Well, I know that I've gotten yelled at before for things that I haven't done. And it feels even worse because it kind of feels like they didn't notice you before and that you're the type of person who wouldn't do something like that.
Okay.
More and more we read about high schools using just the punishment side of the equation, the zero tolerance, and that leaves out a lot of kids. They come into school perhaps angry, upset to begin with, and punishment is not going to do a thing to change their behavior.
What are the things that bug you?
Bad grade kind of makes you think, oh, what's my mom going to do? Give us your report card, your mom's going to find out, she's going to yell at you.
What we have to be able to say to all those kids and families is every single kid belongs in this public school. And we're going to make it work for every single kid. And we can't afford the social, emotional, and financial cost of sending so many kids somewhere else where they're not monitored, where we don't really have a good handle on what they're getting for instruction, and where they're eventually going to be discharged to come back home to what?
Our school isn't perfect, but I think the big difference is that our school is trying. And a lot of the kids in our school do recognize that and just feel that they're treated with respect by multiple levels, by administration, by staff, by students, by everyone. And when you feel respected by everyone, you feel just like, incredible.
Today, the difference is that students know somebody's going to care if they don't come into school or not in the morning. Somebody's actually going to know, someone's probably going to track them, and if they're really having problems, someone's going to sit down and try to problem solve with them.
And sometimes we get really, really lucky and go out on a limb and create opportunities for kids, and they pull it together and, makes it worthwhile. I mean, not every day is going to be a success, but one success carries me a real long way.
Even though I was probably the definition of a bad student, the teachers, they just never stopped, which was good. They weren't just like, oh, you're a failure, drop out. Like, it wasn't like that. They wanted me to succeed. They cared about me. And then I realized that by the end of sophomore year, I was like, these people actually care about me, and I just don't care about myself.